If you disagree with this ranking, know that we didn't create it, but the Legatum Institute. Today we rank all European countries from worst to best according to the ranking compiled by the prestigious Legatum Institute, which takes into account 12 different factors, such as security, health, economy, infrastructure, and education. For completeness, we have also considered transcontinental countries and those that feel socio-culturally European, but not the 5 microstates, as they do not appear in the Legatum Institute ranking. We can't wait to read your comments. Write whatever you think. Welcome to this new video of Amazing Europe. Number 44, Turkey. Let's start with a transcontinental country. Only 3% of Turkey is located in the European continent. Turkey is at the bottom of this ranking and doesn't fare well globally either. Security and personal freedom seem to be very low. According to the Legatum Institute, Turkish society is not very cohesive. Turks don't trust each other very much and tend to be quite hostile towards minorities. In terms of infrastructure, it's not doing too badly globally, also considering the huge Istanbul airport that opened a few years ago, but there's still a long way to go at the European level. Number 43, Azerbaijan. Is Azerbaijan a transcontinental country? Geographically, the experts disagree with each other. From a socio-cultural point of view, it feels European, so much so that it's part of the Council of Europe. In any case, it seems that Azerbaijan is not doing very well, especially when it comes to personal freedoms. Internet freedom is quite restricted, also because the government continues to manipulate online information, blocking several independent websites or forcing activists to remove their content. Moreover, entrepreneurs don't have an easy life here at all, and it's getting worse every year in this regard. Number 42, Belarus. This is the last fully European country in the ranking. Starting a business and making it thrive here seems like a nightmare. Society is increasingly divided, and the government doesn't seem to be helping to unify it. In 2020 and 2021, there were a series of protests in Belarus against the government elections, which were declared fraudulent by many international observers. There were many arrests and censorship of websites and social media. Protesters mobilized using encrypted channels like Telegram or even simply by word of mouth. The incumbent president claimed that the riots were organized by foreign powers, such as the US and NATO. Number 41, Russia. Another transcontinental country. Russia is a huge country. Just think that 40% of European territory is occupied by European Russia. Security and personal freedom would be the weak points of this state according to the Legatum Institute. In fact, Russia is the country in Europe with the most murders, as we have already shown in a dedicated video. The opposition does not have an easy life, and Moscow has introduced new measures to remove content from websites it deems extremist. On the other hand, the education system in Russia does not seem to be so bad, as it ranks 29th in the world. Number 40, Ukraine. We thought that Ukraine was low in the ranking because of the war, but in the years before the conflict it was even lower. Probably the Legatum Institute ranked this nation considering only internal factors, and not the conflict with Russia. In terms of crime, it is doing badly, regardless of the war. It is one of the European countries with the highest homicide rate. It seems that there is no particular care for the environment, and from a health point of view it is even worse. Suffice it to say that it is the 7th nation in the world for deaths due to alcohol abuse and the 4th in the world for deaths caused by coronary heart disease, caused by alcohol and poor diet. Number 39, Bosnia and Herzegovina. It is one of the most depopulating nations in Europe, as we have seen in the dedicated video. The emigration rate is very high. Young people flee abroad to find work and a better quality of life. The birth rate is among the lowest in the world, simply because there are fewer and fewer young people in the country, and those who are there do not have many opportunities to raise many children. Corruption is a real problem in this country, and the political class is unable or unwilling to concretely oppose this problem, also because it is increasingly blocked by ethnic divisions. It is better not to talk about the low opportunities that an entrepreneur has to launch successful businesses. Number 38, Moldova. Caring for the environment and public spaces does not seem to be a priority for Moldova, and this country also lacks stable policies that favor business. For these and other reasons, young people are also fleeing from here. The Moldovan population has decreased by 40% in the last 30 years. Just 50 kilometers from the capital Chisinau, it is easy to come across deserted villages with few windows lit up at night, dilapidated farms, broken roofs and broken doors. Number 37, Albania. Albania has made great strides in recent years, but the wounds of the past still remain. Tourism is developing rapidly, especially thanks to the wonderful sea and the low cost of living. But there is a huge difference between the coastal areas, especially towards Tirana, and the hinterland. Emigration is still a plague for this nation, which has seen a 21% decrease in its population in the last 12 years. According to the Legatum Institute, Albanian society is not at all cohesive. People do not trust each other and there is not much social tolerance. We are really curious to know what our community thinks about this. Number 36. Armenia. This is another special case. Geographically, Armenia would be located in Asia, but it is still one of the 46 nations of the Council of Europe, thanks to its socio-cultural proximity to the European continent. Armenia has suffered greatly from the recent conflict with Azerbaijan. The latest act was in September 2023, when Azerbaijan again attacked Nagorno-Karabakh, a territory that aspires to become autonomous, whose population is predominantly Armenian, but which Azerbaijan considers to be its own. The attack caused more than 100,000 refugees who poured into Armenia. Number 35. North Macedonia. The positive side of North Macedonia is that it is a country with a low crime rate, as explained in the dedicated video. For the rest, things are not going very well. North Macedonia has aspired to join the European Union since 2005, but the latest report made by the European Commission on the country shows that it is still far behind in reforming the public administration, in the integrity and independence of the judiciary, in the fight against corruption, and in freedom of expression. The 2023 report was the worst of those made in recent years. Number 34. Georgia. This is the last transcontinental country in this ranking. On December 14, 2023, the European Council granted Georgia the status of candidate for EU membership. It was a great celebration for the Georgians, who however still have a long way to go to join the EU. First of all, Georgia has been asked to fight corruption more seriously, by promoting a fully and truly independent and impartial judiciary. Georgian society and politics have been described as still too oligarchic, and it seems that there is still no full freedom of the press. Number 33. Serbia. Serbia is a nation that is still heavily suffering the consequences of the Balkan War. However, it is making great strides. The Legatum Institute ranks it 52nd in the world, but in 2013 it was 66th, a jump of 14 positions in 13 years. However, there are still serious problems, such as corruption, which is perceived by Serbs as being increasingly present in their country. For example, in early 2023, 2 deputy prosecutors were transferred because they ordered arrests in an investigation into corruption within Serbia's electric company. This caused many protests and demonstrations in Belgrade. Number 32. Montenegro. Montenegro has been an independent state since 2006. In its constitution, it defines itself as an ecological state, but there are contradictions in the management of the territory. However, in recent years it has been making efforts to attract more tourists attracted by its nature. However, corruption is still the weak point of this country. Some experts say that the fight against corruption in recent years has only scratched the surface, but there has been no in-depth investigation of criminal activities carried out in this country over the past 3 decades. Number 31. Bulgaria. 2 major problems in Bulgaria are the poor health of its citizens and the great disparity between rich and poor. Bulgaria is the European country with the lowest life expectancy, 71.4 years, compared to 80.1 years for the European Union average. It is the only European Union country to have seen a decline in life expectancy in recent years. Alcohol abuse, poor diet and little exercise are said to be the cause of all this. It is also the European country with the highest disparity between rich and poor. The richest 20% of the Bulgarian population earns 7.3 times more than the poorest 20%. Number 30. Romania. Romania is another country that has made enormous strides in Europe. It is one of the countries with the lowest crime rate in Europe, although it still has a way to go in terms of fighting corruption. It is one of the European countries with the highest number of young people who neither study nor work. Youth unemployment is indeed high, and the number of young people dropping out of school is also high. Civic and social participation is still low in this country, with the inhabitants, especially the young, no longer believing in governance. In the 2020 parliamentary elections, only about 32% of the population voted. Number 29. Hungary. Hungary has also made enormous strides in recent years, especially in terms of security and the economy. It is among the European countries with the lowest crime rate. There are few murders, few rapes, few robberies, few burglaries. All this obviously compared to other European countries. The Legatum Institute complains about the insufficient independence and effectiveness of the judicial system, while on the other hand it notes that the economy in Hungary is doing better and better, with good growth in GDP per capita and ever better productivity. Number 28. Croatia. Croatia has had an economic boom in recent years, mainly thanks to tourism. Its crystal clear waters attract more and more tourists every year. In 2023, there were over 1.3 million arrivals and 3.6 million overnight stays, a significant increase compared to the previous year. However, there are still too many young people in the country who emigrate abroad, driven not only by the search for work, but also by the fact that housing in Croatia is becoming very expensive, out of reach for young couples. Number 27. Greece. This splendid nation is still struggling to recover completely from the economic crisis of a few years ago, even though there have been obvious improvements since then. Greece is still not a good place to start a business. Too many taxes and few subsidies slow down the Greek economy and business, and too much bureaucracy certainly doesn't help. However, Greece is described by expats themselves as one of the best European countries to live in, both for leisure options and especially for the Greek people, described as very welcoming and friendly. Number 26. Poland. Two strong points of Poland are definitely the good level of security and social cohesion. Poland is third in Europe for the low number of homicides, tied with other nations. It is also very well positioned in terms of robberies, rapes and pickpocketing. It is known that the Poles are a very united people. Just think of how they faced and overcame the Soviet dictatorship together. The Polish people are a people who have suffered greatly in their history, but have always managed to re-emerge. Number 25. Slovakia. Slovakia is the European Union country with the lowest disparity between rich and poor. The richest 20% of the population earn only 3.12 times more than the poorest 20%, compared to a European average of 4.74 times. Slovakia is also one of the safest countries in Europe, and it is a country that works very hard to conserve the natural environment. In recent years, it has also been pushing hard for tourism, also pointing out that it is one of the countries with the highest concentration of castles in the world. Number 24. Cyprus. Wonderful sea, healthy cuisine, mild climate. These are three of the reasons that push more and more people to move to Cyprus for work or retirement. If we add to this the fact that Cyprus also has a high level of security, we understand why 18.8% of the island's population is made up of expats, fascinated by the wonders of this island. As negative points that the Legatum Institute points out, there is a low trust in institutions and even among the citizens themselves. It seems that this is also partly caused by the civil war that took place in Cyprus in the 1970s, which led to the division of the island into two. Number 23. Lithuania. The nature in Lithuania is simply wonderful. 1/3 of the Lithuanian territory is covered by forests. Although it is only a small nation, there are 5 national parks and 30 regional parks, 254 natural and cultural reserves, and also a biosphere reserve. The country has almost 30,000 rivers and streams and about 6,000 lakes. On the other hand, the health of the citizens is very bad. There is too much alcohol and 60% of the population is obese, with the consequence that 41% of deaths in this country are caused by coronary heart disease. Then there are many suicides. In 2020 there were 21.3 suicides per 100,000 inhabitants, the vast majority men. Number 22. Latvia. There are several things that Latvia has in common with Lithuania. First of all, the wonderful nature, which Latvia has set out to enhance greatly in recent years. Unfortunately, Latvia also has a serious problem with suicides. In 2021 there were 12.7 suicides per 100,000 inhabitants. A major problem in this country is the great economic inequality between the region near the capital and the peripheral territories. The vast majority of the population lives in the capital or the surrounding region. The great economy is all concentrated there, with the result that the periphery of the country is much poorer. Number 21. Italy. Italy is the country with the highest number of UNESCO heritage sites, and this alone would be enough to realize the wonders of this country. Every year, it is visited by millions of tourists, attracted not only by the monuments and works of art, but also by the excellent cuisine, the enchanting sea and the welcoming people. Economically it is divided in two. The north of Italy is more developed and the average salary is €4,500 higher than in the south. Also, from a health point of view, there is a huge difference. Some regions in the north represent an excellence at European level, while in some regions in the south there are not even 2 doctors per 1,000 inhabitants. Number 20. Malta. Malta is getting crowded. It is the European Union country with the highest population density. There are about 1,700 people per square kilometer, compared to a European Union average of about 100 per square kilometer. The Legatum Institute points out something that has been known for a long time. Malta has a scarce water availability in a very densely populated area. In fact, this archipelago is one of the top 10 countries in the world facing water scarcity. However, the sea and the climate are wonderful, not to mention the health system, declared by the World Health Organization to be among the best in the world. Number 19. Slovenia. A small and peaceful country surrounded by greenery and with high levels of security. This is Slovenia described in a few words. As for the care of the natural environment, it is among the best in Europe. And it is often described as the European nation in first place for its efforts to preserve nature for future generations. One negative side is alcohol. According to the local press, 1 in 4 Slovenians has alcohol problems, and Slovenia is therefore the 4th country in the world where people die from alcohol-related causes. Number 18. Portugal. One of the most beautiful things about Portugal is the Portuguese people. Immigrants who go to live there describe them as very welcoming and friendly people, with whom it is easy to make friends even if you don't speak the local language well. In recent years it has had an economic boom mainly due to tourism, but it is also a country with great economic disparities. Wealth and job opportunities are mainly concentrated along the coast, while the inland regions are still emptying due to emigration. Number 17. Czech Republic. Always loved by tourists because of its fairy tale towns and low cost of living, it is also a safe country, with a low rate of murders and thefts. To tell the truth, in the last 7 years the price of houses has really been increasing, but it remains competitive compared to other European nations. Lately, inflation and the energy crisis are causing some problems. According to the Czech Ministry of Labour, 2.5% of the population lives in housing need, in other words on the streets, in hostels, shelters, or extremely overcrowded apartments. Number 16. Spain. Spain is also described by expats as a very welcoming and friendly country. The ability of the Spanish to party is also highly appreciated, both by expats and by students from abroad, even if there is room for improvement in terms of the economy and job opportunities. Economic inequality between the different regions still needs to be improved. Suffice it to say that in Andalusia 14.4% of people are in a situation of severe poverty, while in Aragon only 4.9% are. Number 15. France. France is a country rich in nature and history. It is a country much loved by tourists, even if unfortunately it is not among the safest in Europe, given the fairly high number of drug-related crimes, car thefts and pickpocketing. A little curiosity. France is everywhere in the world. There is France in the Indian Ocean, in the Pacific Ocean, in North and South America. All these territories belong to France, so much so that when you go to a supermarket in Paris, you can easily find bananas grown in France. Not obviously in Paris, but in the France that is on the other side of the world. Number 14. Estonia. Estonia is one of the 3 Baltic tigers, the name given to the 3 Baltic republics that experienced an economic boom from 2000 to 2007. Now the annual growth rate is no longer the same as it was in those years, but it still remains a nation with a flourishing economy, loved by many expats who move there to do business. Tourism in Estonia is also growing rapidly, and this country also stands out for rural tourism. A good percentage of tourists go to this country to immerse themselves in nature and the Estonian countryside, and it seems that this is particularly appreciated by Japanese tourists. Number 13. Belgium. Here is the country of chocolate, beer, comics, and the seat of the European Commission. Beer tourism is very big in Belgium, counting that there are more than 220 active breweries here. As for chocolate, there are more than 300 chocolate makers in the country, with a total turnover of the Belgian chocolate industry of €4 billion. Last curiosity related to art, the only work of art present on the moon is by a Belgian. In 1971, the Apollo 15 space mission left a small statuette called Fallen Astronaut on the lunar surface. It was created by a Flemish artist and is dedicated to all those who have given their lives for space exploration. Number 12. Austria. According to official data, not only is the crime rate very low, but it is decreasing every year. And yet, according to various statistics, Austrians complain about perceiving an ever-increasing crime rate. In any case, Vienna is often named as the most livable city in the world. The Economist described it here, a winning combination of stability, good culture, entertainment, reliable infrastructure, and exemplary educational and health services. The salaries are not bad either, considering that it is the 9th European nation for highest salaries. Number 11, United Kingdom. There are quite a few differences between the four nations that make up the United Kingdom, especially when it comes to crime. England and Wales have higher crime rates than Northern Ireland and Scotland, and crime has been increasing in the last decade. The Legatum Institute reports problems in the UK regarding terrorist infiltration into the country. However, it is England that has the highest salaries, as well as an excellent education system. The UK has also been declared several times to be the ideal destination for those who want to study abroad. Here students can enjoy not only beautiful and cosmopolitan cities, but also wonderful natural landscapes. Number 10. Ireland. Ireland is one of those countries that has made the most progress in recent years. Its economy is stable and strong. In fact, the Legatum Institute ranks the quality of the Irish economy second in Europe and fourth in the world. Salaries are high. The average gross salary is around €4,600 per month, although it is true that there is a big difference between the capital and rural areas. In fact, in Dublin you earn 16.6% more than the national average. The hospitality of the Irish and the beautiful natural scenery are famous all over the world. Number 9. Germany. Germany is a great place to do business, even though it is true that the bureaucracy here is quite heavy. The Legatum Institute points out that there have been problems related to terrorism in recent years, but this has not stopped the millions of tourists who visit every year, attracted by the over 20,000 castles, the cities that are both modern and fairy tale, and the enchanting nature. More than a third of German territory is covered by forests and green areas. Obviously, culinary tourism is also very well developed here, considering that there are about 1,500 breweries, 1,500 types of sausages and 3,000 types of bread. Number 8. Iceland. Iceland is one of those few European countries where there are more births than deaths, so much so that it is the only European country whose local population will grow in 2100, at least according to UN estimates. Iceland is the safest country in the world when it comes to terrorism. In September 2022, 4 Icelanders in their early 20s were arrested on charges of planning an attack on Parliament. It was the first time in Icelandic history that there had been talk of crimes related to terrorism. As for nature, there is not much to say, except that you have to go to Iceland at least once in your life just to admire the scenery. Number 7. Luxembourg. It is one of the European countries with the highest rate of expats. And it's easy to see why they want to come here, given that the average salary is over €6,000 gross per month. Furthermore, the minimum wage is also constantly increasing. Just think that the government increased it twice in 2023. This is the only country in Europe where women earn more than men. Obviously it does not have the natural beauty of Iceland, but here too there are some beautiful hiking trails, first of all the Mullathal Trail, which with its 112 kilometers passes through the natural beauties of the Mullathal region. Number 6. Netherlands. God created the world, the Dutch created Holland. This local proverb shows that the Dutch have literally pulled part of their own country out of the sea. Here the mills were mainly used to pump water and keep dry the land that was below sea level. This shows the entrepreneurial spirit of the Dutch, among the first in the world in terms of their ability to do business. Furthermore, according to the Legatum Institute, it is the first country in the world in terms of safety at work. Number 5. Switzerland. It is no surprise to see Switzerland in the top 5. According to the Legatum Institute, Switzerland is the world's leading place to offer the best conditions for businesses. The economy is strong and stable, with very high salaries. The average gross salary is around €7,400 per month. Switzerland ranks first in the world for active political participation of citizens. The people vote up to 4 times a year on a total of around 15 federal referendums. It is also in the top 10 in Europe for both health and safety. Not to mention the magnificent bucolic landscapes, which led to almost 24 million tourist overnight stays in the summer of 2023 alone. Number 4. Finland. Finland has been ranked by the World Happiness Report 2023 as the happiest nation in the world. Finns have great trust in institutions, also because the levels of corruption here are decidedly low. The education system is among the best in the world, with the majority of teachers being young. 17% of teachers are under 30 and 51% are under 50, while only 32% are over 50. According to the World Health Organization, the level of concentration of particles in the air in Finland is the lowest in the world. Number 3. Norway. Norwegian nature and landscapes are truly unique in the world, as we have already shown in a dedicated video. The Legatum Institute ranks it first in the world for personal freedom, especially in terms of freedom of expression and freedom of the press. Even in this country, the very low level of corruption means that citizens have trust in their institutions. It is the country in the world where people love to read the most. Here 9 out of 10 people read at least one book a year. One last curiosity, Norway is the paradise of electric cars. 79% of new cars sold in Norway in 2022 were electric vehicles. Number 2. Sweden. We were a bit surprised to see Sweden in second place, especially because it is one of the European Union countries with the highest crime rate and also because it is the Nordic country with the highest long-term unemployment rate. But the Legatum Institute rewards it for many things, such as personal freedom, health, education, and of course nature. Just think of the constitutional right named Allemansrätten, thanks to which you can walk, camp, pick berries and mushrooms, ski, canoe and fish freely in Swedish nature. Before revealing the best country in Europe according to the Legatum Institute, we kindly ask you to help our channel grow by liking, subscribing and clicking on the bell to not miss new videos. Thank you very much. Number 1. Denmark. The Legatum Institute ranks Denmark first not only in Europe, but in the entire world. The lowest position it has in the ranking is 16th in the world for health. Otherwise, it is in the top 10 of every category that you can find in the video description. Denmark boasts a high level of equality and a strong sense of common responsibility for social welfare. To understand life in Denmark, just think about this. In this country taxes are high, but several surveys have shown that Danes are happy to pay them because they see what they get in return. And now it's your turn. Do you agree with this Legatum Institute ranking? Does it coincide with your experience? Tell us in the comments what you think and what you would change. If you found this video interesting, to get an even more comprehensive look at Europe, we recommend the one on the 10 favorite countries of expats, which you can find at the top right. Well, that's all for this video. See you next time.